Hola and buenas, and welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana, a podcast made with love. Tonight, we'll be breaking down the LA Galaxy's first win of the season, a dominant 3-0 home win over Charlotte FC on match day 2, Saturday, February 28th. That confirmed there are indeed signs of life from Greg Vanney's team. We'll be joined by special guest, MLS and Apple TV analyst Keith Costigan, who was on the broadcast call for this match and will join us once again. We'll break down the Galaxy's fast start, a.k.a. offensive explosion, what looked different for the LA Galaxy in this match as opposed to the last three, if the Galaxy's identity is starting to shift, and what we've learned about the Galaxy from the first stanza of games. Plus, Royce rolls on in LA, and we bring you an MLS Match Day 2 roundup. All of that and more coming up on La Cuna Galaxiana. DJ, spin that track. G's up!
Yeah, let's get it started with a new year, new me. Cuna Galaxiana still reporting on the news feed, yeah. And you know who it be, the 6 star from the jersey, putting work in the league. Word on the street, we rip teams immaculately. We see the players come and go, but I'm forever a G. And you can catch me yelling tactics on the field when I leave. Get it together like I'm Vanney when I'm giving a speech. Back to the pitch, score goals, dribbling tricks. I heard a transfer window rumor, let me see who it is. I got statistics on the player, puzzle pieces that fit. Con este show que es tan bilingüe que tu papi lo ve. Rápido pues, hablando de este club otra vez. En las buenas y en las malas, we got love for the crest, love for LA. Let's get it started, light up the stage. Every week on Monday night I'm tuning into the place. Yeah, you know what it is. It's La Cuna Galaxiana, 4th season, Rob Ananda. And my name, ya te lo sabes.
Welcome back to La Cuna Galaxiana. We are in a celebratory mood this evening as your LA Galaxy have picked up their first dub of the season. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rob Halone. You can always find my written work at the Sporting Tribune, and you can find me online at El Escudero de LA. And since I'm here, you know, El Birthday Boy, aka El Yerno Guapo, también está aquí conmigo. Papa, Anandita Kirana, how are you feeling after the G's gifted you a birthday win?
Yeah, that was nice. That was a nice little birthday present on my birthday, and it was nice to kind of not think about the G's for a little while and look at my phone, and lo and behold, like maybe I shouldn't go to the stadium, Rob, anymore. Rob, that's like a sign. Like maybe I just shouldn't go anymore. Like bad omen, bad juju for this team. But no, man, you asked me how I'm feeling. Honestly, I'm just gonna get right into it because this is the word that, looking back on it on replay, I watched the game the day after. Since we were out celebrating my birthday, and that win made me feel nostalgic, Papa. That was my one word reaction, nostalgic. Like the shades of this watching this team in 2024, like vintage Killer Peas, right? But instead, this guy, we got the big man up top, and filling in valiantly for Dejan Jovic, who was the gunman in 2024, right? So it was just such a nice thing to see that I can't remember the last time the Galaxy had an offensive explosion, as you called it, at the top of the show like this. And it was exciting. It was exciting to watch this team again. Like I feel like, especially for the first couple of games, it was a little bit slow and labored and a little bit of a bore fest, right? But the G's needed to play pragmatically to get the job done and hit their stride in terms of their accomplishment and what they needed to do in CCC in particular. But no, man, made me feel nostalgic. And I see Carlos Segovia in the chat. He said it was like watching 24 again. So yeah, nostalgic is my one word reaction, man. That's how it made me feel. Made me feel good watching this team.
Ooh, good, man. I'm glad that the Chiefs can make you feel good on your birthday. I had to be that guy. I had to be that Debbie Downer.
Oh, jeez.
You I think Carlos said it until Vanney turned off the switch. So yeah, no, it was
did he really? I'm gonna debate that later. Anyways, we'll debate that later.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We can get into it. The first 45 minutes were pretty good, and yeah, sure, Kalina has some good saves in there and stuff like that in the second half. But really, on the whole, like you saw pragmatic Greg kind of like retreat a little bit, and that's okay. That's his prerogative. I mean, like, hey, we got our win, we got our W. Like, let's we played a lot of games. Let's make sure we get through the end of this one, okay? But yeah, I mean, Kalina really just stood on his head again for the second game in a row, and he prevented this from being like a 6-7-0. But anyway, yeah, we'll get into all the goodness. And chat, thank you so much for being here once again. You know what it is. We have a wonderful guest with us this evening named Keith Costigan. He was actually on the call of the game last night. So if you watched the game on TV, if you weren't at the digs, you heard his call for these goals right here. And he's going to be with us tonight and telling us what he noticed about this game. So if you have anything to ask Keith, drop in those super chats. Let us know. If you got something to get off your chest, get those super chats out there as well. Guys, we're on the march to 900 subscribers. Slowly but surely, we're getting there. It's because every single one of you guys have helped and contributed and han puesto su granito de arena, su semillita de plantita, and slowly but surely, this humble little pod that started over wings and beer is bringing you as much in the way of Galaxy news as we can, as two human beings possibly can, and an always wonderful cast of help and advisors and people that have been in the space and done in it. So thank you to them. But guys, all that to say is that you guys got to be in the know of when we have these wonderful guests and hit the subscribe button, and that's how you're gonna know. But anyway, guys, let's hit some VCFC news. But before we do, Anandita, tell people how to stalk you, please.
Yeah, you guys can always follow me, block me, or stalk me at Ananda Galaxiana. You can find us on all of your socials, including Blue Sky. We are now like posting quite frequently now on Blue Sky, Rob. So you guys can follow us on Blue Sky, but on all of your social platforms, at Lacuna Galaxiana is the handle there. And Rob talked about the super chats. We talked about we're on the road to 900. So help us there, guys. We still a third of you that listen to the show and pop in still haven't subscribed, so help us out, guys. Go ahead, if you do like the show, go ahead and subscribe. And of course, papá, como siempre, antes de olvidarme, buenos días, tardes o noches y bienvenidos a otro capítulo de La Cuna Galaxiana de cuarta temporada. Y vámonos, man, because we've got Keith rolling in here in just a couple minutes, so let's get through these announcements.
Yeah, we got a couple of them to get through. VCFC played the first game of the season, and it was a win. Wins for VCFC and the Galaxy. Wins the home opener and season opener at the Willie Roll. Yes, I'm still trying to make that a thing. They beat the Vancouver Whitecaps 4-2. Julian Palacios scored a brace. Ruben Ramos got one, and Dylan Vanney added the fourth. It's wonderful to see these Galaxy depth pieces in this VCFC team and getting their time. Harper Miller, Ruben Ramos, Pepe Magana were all in this team. And then players like Palacios that you come to hear about and you're like, oh, okay. Aaron Medina also in this team. But after one match, VCFC is second in the table behind St. Louis City. Their next match is on March 8th at 5:30 p.m. versus Austin FC, and that'll be away. Guys, on the news front, the MLS All-Star Game was announced today. That'll be happening in Charlotte on Wednesday, July 29th. The MLS All-Stars will be taking on the Liga MX All-Stars in another iteration of that storied rivalry. That'll be happening on Wednesday, July 29th. As is custom, Galaxy fans are going to be out there saying, don't vote for any Galaxy player to be in the All-Star Game. Double-edged sword. We'll talk about that when we get closer to it. But other news bits, Joao Klauss named to the team of the match day following his brace in the Galaxy's 3-0 win over Charlotte. Congratulations to Joao Klauss. The LA Galaxy has extended Marco Reus. That news dropped just a couple of days ago. He's had his contract extended by the Galaxy through December 2027. His previous contract was up at the end of this year. Marco Reus has 22 goal contributions, 42 matches for the Galaxy, and is just shy of 2,000 minutes. Royce has captained the team for much of the beginning of the season. Guys, just so you know, somebody way smarter than us put this next bits and bobs together. This is the roster profile for the LA Galaxy. You can thank our good friend Josh Guessman for this, the Podfather, Corner of the Galaxy. This cat, insatiable, indefatigable for. I'm not saying that word right. I'll get back to that one. But yeah, and this guy always comes through with the goods. Thanks Podfather for giving this roster profile. Guys, the Champions Cup schedule is out. The Galaxy play the first leg at home on Wednesday, March 11th at 6:30 p.m. The reverse fixture in Jamaica is on March 19th at 4 p.m. So if you're going to be at work, better get off early that day. That's at 4 p.m., the reverse fixture on March 19th. That is part of a busy March schedule in which the Galaxy plays 5 matches in 15 days. 3 of those are away. Guys, really quickly with an MLS update, and then we're going to get to our special guest of the day. In the MLS roundup, 7 red cards were given out this match day. The Galaxy's next opponent, Colorado, beat Portland 2-0. Minnesota beat Cincinnati 1-0 and unveiled the Rebel Loon Tifo. Shout out to them. Those cats, you indeed have friends everywhere. San Jose continued its good start with a 2-0 win over Atlanta. Debut assist by their new big signing, Timo Werner. Preston Judd, former G, got his 2nd goal of the season. San Diego wins 2-0 over St. Louis. Anders Dryers, always scoring goals or assisting, gets another one. In the Canada Derby, Vancouver beats Toronto 3-0. Messi made headlines in the Florida Derby as Inter Miami beat Orlando 4-2. And he quite cheekily offered Papi an autograph after scoring one of his trademark goals. He ended with 2 goals and 1 assist. And in former G Watch, Christian Ramirez, recently released by the Galaxy, scored the game winner for Austin in that 1-0 win over DC United. Dayon, we just mentioned him a little while ago, scored a brace in the 2-2 tie with the Columbus Crew for SKC. And that is your MLS roundup.
Yeah, happy for Christian Ramirez, by the way. That was a good little story. So, it was tough. I heard he didn't want to leave, and but it ended up the way it did, and just happy for him that he got that goal for Austin. So really good story there.
Well, the goal scorers are going to score goals, and he has a track record of scoring goals, and he got a chance somewhere, and immediately made himself felt. But a man who always makes himself felt in any room. Please welcome back a friend of the show. We've had him on a couple times, and we were so lucky to have him. Please welcome back to the show, multiple Emmy winner, a man who drops bars every time he's been here with us, and the man who was on the call for Saturday night's LA Galaxy victory, MLS and Apple TV analyst Keith Costigan. Welcome back, Keith. ¿Cómo estás, papá?
Estoy bien, estoy listo para platicar contigo y con Ananda también. You're gonna have to elaborate a little bit on. I make an impact when I walk into a room. Like, what's the impact? Like, people leave, people want to chat. Like, well, way does that work?
No, actually, I was watching the game the other day, and I love the rapport that UMO have.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, facts.
One of the best 1-2 punches in the call in MLS, man, because it just. You can tell you guys aren't faking the funk. You can tell you guys actually love the
light banter. Love the light banter. Yep, love the light banter.
We're lucky, like when you talk about you guys do this together. When you work with someone that is a friend, it just makes everything a whole lot easier. It also makes being accountable to each other a whole lot easier as well, because you're not saying, "Oh, great job," and then behind the person's back saying, "Well, I wish they would do this." We always have the ability to be honest with each other, be open and say, "No, I didn't think you did that well," and that makes everything better. So no, I couldn't ask for a better partner to work with, and I'm glad that people like you guys watching the game, that it shines through to you guys as well. So that's the biggest compliment you could really pay any commentator.
Yeah, you guys are comedy, man. It's wonderful. Well, you were in the booth calling Saturday night's Galaxy win. Obviously the win was big and Galaxy fans needed it, but what stood out to you tactically that we might not see, just from the box score or the highlights, from your special place, what did you notice?
Yeah, I mean, I want to start with, first of all, great win. And second game in a row where, not much was given up defensively. And that was a key issue last year. So lots of positives. I was just surprised at how open Charlotte decided to be early on. Like Toffolo, high as possible at left back. Tim Ream, who really didn't look good in wide areas, but he's not the quickest anyway. So you literally said, there's space, and Gabriel Peck attacked it so well early on. I mean, Greg Vanney told us, look, last year, he felt Peck waited to get the ball to his feet and try dribble. He wanted him in motion. I thought for the first half, that's exactly what you had. You had Gabriel Peck in motion, generating, creating goal-scoring chances. That was great. Klauss, in terms of ability to hold up, ability to get in the penalty area, excellent as well. But I have to say it was the solidity, like the connection between the lines that impressed me most. I think, easy to call Klauss or Peck man of the match, but I thought Glesnes was outstanding in terms of just how he knitted everything together. I thought the connection between the midfield three was outstanding. Cerrillo sat. Winder was kind of an in-between. And Sanabria gave you a defensive presence as a 10 as well. I thought his energy was incredible. How he reacted quickly to the shot off the post. So I didn't have these kind of expectations for the Galaxy, this kind of performance, but I thought it was a complete performance. I thought getting the goals early, not giving up anything defensively. I've always thought Yoshida is a secondary defender in the latter stage of his career. Glesnes looked like a dominant defender. It looks like an inspired signing already. So if I'm a Galaxy fan, I'm leaving the stadium on Saturday night thinking this bodes well. This gives us a chance to be relevant again in the West. And that's the first stage of getting back to where we know you guys want to be, which is, in MLS Cup.
Yeah. Keith, what surprised you more, actually? The offensive outbursts in this game, or just how good the Galaxy have been so far this season defensively? What's been the bigger surprise?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I probably the defensive work, just because I thought Charlotte were quite naive with their tactics. I think, the first few games I hadn't seen it from the Galaxy. I was kind of concerned about the attacking edge. I'd even asked Greg, I said, do you have to lose a little bit of how good you are in attack to be better defensively? In this game, you showed you can do both. But yeah, I think it's the defensive stability that you've given yourself, and you basically replaced the spine of the team, like Sanabria, Klauss, Glesnes. All of that is right down the middle of the field.
Yeah.
And last year, it just felt like when the Galaxy went forward, you'd have a chance, but then the opposition would have a chance. And some days you get knocked out when you play like that. And the other day, it just didn't feel like that. There was those right moments where you fell and stopped the play and were tactically very aware. I thought Glesnes covered ground really, really well. I mean, this is Pep Biel is someone who had double figures in goals and assists. Right. Wilfred Zaha is one of the best players in transition in Major League Soccer. And Toklamadi's a very talented young striker who was given nothing. By the way, when he tried to run the channels, Glesnes owned him. So I would look at that and say, look, out of last year, 66 goals conceded. How do we get better? You can see already it's going to be better. And by the way, not just better, but you have options. Yoshida played. Hack can play center back. Emi Garza started game one and he can play center back. All of a sudden you're saying, well, the Galaxy are a little bit deeper than maybe I thought they were coming into the season. So I think this all bodes well. Going on the road is going to present, obviously, that stiffer test in terms of we all know the issues on the travels last year for the Galaxy, but the defensive work I think is the biggest standout for me after 2 games in MLS so far this season.
Yeah, and Keith, it's easy to kind of get lost in the worry of not seeing the Galaxy score goals, right? And then also not being like, well, at least the defensive work is solid, right? But early on in these first 3 games, you've seen Galaxy fans already just be kind of have this basically be suffering trauma over last year, right? And then they it happens. Yeah, I mean they're entitled to it. Last year was bad for them, right? So they're going through all that, and then they see the Galaxy come out in the first 3 games, right? And let's be honest, the offensive work wasn't there. I mean, maybe it just was a system issue or whatnot. But then in this game, they explode. You already mentioned that, kind of surprised you. It definitely surprised me. I called a 0-0 at the outset. So, I was definitely wrong. But what was the biggest difference for you from this match to the first three? What jumped out most to you in the difference, the way they approached it?
I do think Charlotte, I think if you look at Charlotte's opening game in MLS, they gave up double figures shots on goal as well in that game to St. Louis City. So I do think they're very open defensively. That definitely played a part. But I like the subtle tweak from match day one. Hack played in midfield, and Hack's a very good player, but I look at Hack more as a defender in an LA Galaxy setup. You like to move the ball so quickly in midfield. I thought Winder gave you much more of a tempo setter alongside Cerrillo. Cerrillo's passing was outstanding. His switch for the opening goal, again, I go back to 2 years ago. We all waited for Cerrillo to drop out of the 11. You remember everyone was like, well, when everyone's fit, Cerrillo's going to be the one out. It was Gaston Brugman. Yeah, Gaston was going to. And you go, hang on a minute, Cerrillo's going to stay. And you saw what he brought to the team in terms of setting the tempo again, moving the ball. I just saw a better balance in that regard. And I saw a really good understanding between the front three. I thought Joseph Paintsel, his ability to go, if he starts to go to his left, watch out MLS, because we know he likes to come inside. But we saw moments of that. And there was just one moment that I really loved in the game. And that was when Peck got the ball out wide. And Klauss was central. And Klauss made the biggest run to make an overlap around him. Like the willingness of a big center forward, you think, well, he can link up. He's not just a link-up player. This guy is a proper soccer player. Gets around Peck. Peck plays him. He gets the cross in. And you're thinking, yeah, this has shown early signs that this could really work. And, I think Galaxy had to – they couldn't be as open as they were last year because it was just too easy to score against them. Yeah. So you brought in better individuals, but the setup had to be better. And I thought that the individuals in midfield on Saturday, really, really clever decisions. Like Marco Reus started on the line, came in late, and the game was obviously done by then, so we couldn't really read much into his performance. But that was probably the best I've seen from Sanabria, where I walked away going, okay, now I know what he is. Whereas in other games last year, I was kind of saying, what exactly does he bring? And I'd say the same with Nascimento, by the way. Last year, I know he got a few goals, but I was still saying, he came on and was a threat. Like he scored a goal, which very narrowly was called back for offside. So you're looking at, okay, Klauss, Nascimento can play like that as well. You have a nice little bit of depth for the big run of games you guys were talking about before I came on. Yeah, I will preface this. Charlotte were bad defensively. I still, over the course of the first few weekends in the West, I have San Diego and LAFC. I hate to say that to you guys, but those two look elite. They look elite right now.
They look really good.
Fair.
They really do. But I have LA Galaxy back in the mix beneath those two. And we all know the Galaxy are the masters at making something happen in the summer if a name becomes available. And you're that close to, God willing, Ricky Pooch comes towards the end of the season, or whatever it might be. But if a move needs to be made where it's one player to add to this group, the Galaxy will try and do it. So you're trending in the right direction. You don't take all the steps at once. You don't magically appear at the top of the mountain. You have to climb your way up. And I think the Galaxy are taking the right first steps to do that.
Rob, Will Kuntz coming back in for Coutinho? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
you never know.
We saw Will before. We never even asked Will. I saw Will before. And I meant it was in my head to ask him because I'm a Liverpool fan. I love Pete Coutinho was like, you couldn't not enjoy watching him. Oh man, can you imagine Pete Coutinho in that? No, I'm not even gonna say it because it'll be everywhere tomorrow. People will be blaming us. But yeah, I mean that kind of move. If the Galaxy decided, and you probably with Coutinho, you probably hold the cards. Because it's like he's moved on from his club a little bit like James. Would you make it a no-risk move? But yeah, you think maybe just add one more? The Galaxy could be moving towards the elite with those two teams that I mentioned. So, but look, I mean, I'd love to hear you guys. Do you feel 2 games in against 2 of the better sides in the East last year too?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to feel happy with you were leading. dodgy penalty, dodgy red, stops you getting 3 points, I would say. And then you pick up 3 points second week. So I would say it's in good shape.
Yeah, I would agree. Guys, really quick though, I'm a conspiracy theorist, and everything you guys were just talking about with Coutinho and Will Kuntz, right? Will Kuntz, without fail, Keith, is always at the matches, always makes it a point to come over to the press and say hello. He's that kind of guy, right? Every single game.
Yeah, great guy.
Every single game, right? And then he has a spot that he stands and he watches a game from. Usually I'm sat right in that spot, and then there's a wall, and then it's Will and a couple of his team. I haven't been in that spot, but I have a friend that was in that spot, and I haven't seen Will around for, well, he was in the building for the last game because he was in the picture, but before that I hadn't seen Will around for maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks. And that's strange because, again, he always shows face, always comes and says hello. You think he's up to something? Around.
He did say, when I said, "How are you?" he said, "Todo bien." No, I made that up, but that
I was gonna say
he would too. He would too.
Well, no, he's been asked directly, and he has not denied it. He says, never say never. So, if there's a way to get it done, this man will get it done.
Well, so
it would be amazing for the Brazilian community here in Los Angeles.
Rob, so Lex said that Podfather, so shout out Josh Corner of the Galaxy, he said it's the Coutinho deal is done, meaning not like completed, but like it's shelved for now because of, and then they went with Eric Tommy, so that was the play there. So it was kind of just like like scrounging up like old news and recycled news. So that's basically what it was. So it's on the shelf for now, but I mean, there's going to be a lot of
where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, there's going to be a lot of interesting names this summer because of the World Cup. So that's just going to be super interesting. Really quick, Keith, by the way, as you were talking, just sorry to skip around for a second, but you were talking about Joao Klauss making that run on the outside.
Yeah.
I will tell you the first time, so we had our first sort of like post-game press conference, and me, Rob, and a couple of the reporters that were in there, and we had a chance to talk to Joao. And let me tell you, we left that room we were in awe. Like we were like, this guy,
what a player.
This guy gets it. Like he's so humble. He said, you know what? Like my job here is to help Marco, to accelerate Gabby's game, to make Joe look good. Like that's my job. He didn't really say like, I'm here to score goals, even though he knows he's there to help the team and score goals and bag some assists. But the humility, the professionalism, uncanny, like unreal.
There's something so fresh about that. When you guys cover because we've all been there, where you really enjoy a player and then you meet them and you go, okay, they're a great player. It's so nice when you can walk away and say they're a great player and a great person. It was the same with us, after the game. We said, what was the key to your success today? And he said, my team, and it was such a genuine answer, which is like, did you see the way? Yeah, I think you've signed a good character for the locker room as well, for sure.
No, he's been impressive. I mean, everybody talks about an eye test. He's definitely passed it. Everybody talks about, is he saying the right thing? He definitely has been, and you've seen the work on the field. But Keith, you mentioned Charlotte and how in the first match they also gave up a lot of shots. Kalina's been standing on his head to prevent these matches from getting
19 saves in 2 matches. Crazy.
So, I want to keep it in perspective for Galaxy fans, because I saw a lot of Galaxy fans that are already like, yeah, we're winning the MLS Cup, right? But was the Galaxy that good, or was, no disrespect to Charlotte, but were they just that bad on the day?
I think tactically they set up very early on, like why you would have Toffolo be that high that early and just continually give Gabriel Peck space to run into. But take nothing away from it. I mean, Charlotte got a draw on the road against St. Louis City opening weekend. So although they gave up a lot of chances, you guys have to be clinical when you're in that situation. Right. So I always think when you get a win, and you get a win in the manner in which you did, you get 3 goals. You look at the XG, the number pretty much coincides with what you got. You gave up very little in XG. So I think all of that is really, really good. And again, they had firepower. This isn't Charlotte without Pep Biel. This is Charlotte with their 2 star players. This is Charlotte with their star number 9, who's just recently signed the new contract. And you kept all of them in check. So again, that's why, I go back to the defensive work maybe being the biggest takeaway of the first 2 weekends. That was a test. New York City FC, yes, no Alonso Martinez, a little bit different, but this was a Charlotte with all of their pieces in the attack. And I couldn't remember. There was a spell kind of at the end of the first half where you thought, oh, if Charlotte could get one, it would be interesting to see how the Galaxy would respond. But again, I thought you defended well. I thought Glesnes looked outstanding. Yoshida looked a little bit shaky early on, but then came into the game and was his usual self. So no, I don't think you should be walking away being like, yeah, well, Charlotte weren't great. It's a win. It's a 3-0 win. But I do think there is bigger tests ahead. I'm curious. I haven't seen that much of Colorado yet, but that was a big win for them at the weekend. Right. I'm curious to see that one because, you talk about beating the East, that's big, but beating your rivals in the West is so important. Like if you beat Colorado at the weekend, 7 points from 3 games, they've only got 3. I know it's early, but you're already opening up gaps on teams in and around you in the standings. So that's important. So I'll have a keen eye on that Colorado game this weekend in terms of what we can see from the Galaxy to build upon the opening 2 weekends at home.
Yeah. Well, just like Brother Lex said in the chat, Rob, he says, we'll all know in the next 5 games, all winnable games, but it's tough. Like 3 of them away.
Thank you, Brother Lex, for that super chat.
Introducing, or going on the road to Jamaica and then having to go play away. Can't remember the weekend game on that one, but it's a tough stretch. So we'll definitely know a lot about this team.
Yeah, and to support that, guys, we also have Roughneck in chat saying by March 9th, 2025, we had 8 goals scored against us and we're 0-4.
Yeah,
the season is what the season should have been. I mean, so there's been progress, there's been improvement, and that's what you want to see. And like you guys said, I mean, it starts game by game. You start to open up that space, you start to build that point total, and unfortunately, the Galaxy know this only all too well. Teams start to pull away really quickly.
Yeah.
On current evidence, Keith, after seeing just these first 4 games, Lex seems to think we'll know more about them in the next 5. But on current evidence, just the 4 sample games, right? Is the Galaxy a playoff team or a contending team, or is it too soon to tell?
Ooh, playoff team. I have to say that. Again, I mentioned the 2, and I didn't even mention Vancouver. Vancouver is still, they kept a lot of pieces from last year. They've re-upped on Kubas, who for me is the best 6, one of the best 6s in the league. I think Tristan Blackman re-upped as well. So, the way they dismantled Toronto with the weekend was outstanding. They weren't at their best opening weekend against RSL and won that game. Beyond those 3, Galaxy are right in the conversation for any other position in the West. And I include Seattle in that. I don't think Seattle are as good as they were. So I think you can make strides this year in that regard. And remember, this is 2 seasons in 1. This is 15 games up until the start of the World Cup. So if you have a really good start and then you're in that 3rd or 4th place and you're sitting pretty, and then you add a player, you can quickly go from a playoff team to a contender. But right now, I would still have my money on the Vancouvers, the San Diegos, the LAFCs ahead of LA Galaxy. Remember, Houston spent a lot of money. I haven't necessarily been impressed with what I've seen there in terms of them taking the step. So you're competing with other sides that didn't make the playoffs last year as well to make the jump up. So playoff team now, and then to be determined on a contender based on what happens in the summer.
Yeah, but Bruce has San Jose 2 clean sheets, man.
Yes,
are we
even mentioned San Jose? And Timo Werner looked good, by the way. That assist on the goal. Yeah, watch out. Yeah.
Like I mentioned, former G Preston Judd and friend of the show. He's been on the show, guys. So check out the back catalog. Hint, hint. Let's dial in a little bit more to this game, guys. LA versus Charlotte, of course, this big Galaxy win. It's just one, but again, for all the reasons that the chat has mentioned, that we have mentioned, it's big because compared to last year, I mean, it took 17 games, so you got to go with the positives, right? But Keith, did you have the Galaxy as a favorite going into this?
No, to be honest, I was looking at it as being. I thought Charlotte were going to come in more pragmatic and look to transition against the Galaxy. I was super surprised that it was the other way around. So I thought it was going to be one of those games where, to be honest, I felt like Charlotte were going to come and maybe snatch a result. Based on what I saw on opening weekend, I said, there's no way Charlotte are going to be that open again. And their fullbacks were dominating in this game. Like, I mean, the wingers really just owned them. I would say the same with the center backs too. They really had trouble. We saw center back Privet taken off at halftime, and Morrison has to come on. So I had Charlotte getting something from this game. I really did. So, I mean, that's testament to just how good the Galaxy performed, that they recognized. I think Greg said afterwards, it was like, we want to win the first 15. I don't think he even envisioned the first 15 that he got in terms of three goals. And even then, you think Yamane had brought the great save out of Kalina as well. Right. I mentioned the Nascimento goal that was now. Yeah, so there was so many other opportunities there as well. But I didn't have it based on, I thought the Galaxy's attack was still a work in progress. I thought it would be tight, but it wasn't. You just blew the doors off right from minute one.
Yeah, it was surprising as well. I mean, it was Ananda's birthday, so we were at his birthday dinner, and he was.
Where'd you guys go? What'd you guys have?
Oh, we had this beautiful. We went to Ricky Pooja's favorite restaurant actually in Los Angeles called Teleferic.
What's it called?
Teleferic.
Teleferic.
It's in Brentwood.
Beautiful Barcelona Spanish tapas.
Oh,
When you're in town, you guys got to send me that. You got to send me that. I love tapas. I go to Spain every year.
Okay.
So tapas is the one thing I feel like LA hasn't really like every other cuisine. You get everything. Tapas, you get the jamon iberico. I went somewhere and they didn't have jamon iberico. I was upset. I sound bougie. I'm not. I like my good jamon.
No, that's like a
same.
If you don't have jamon iberico and you call yourself a Spanish restaurant, you're like,
you can't
are
do
you
that.
a Spanish restaurant?
No.
And it was delightful. I mean, and then like the service was amazing. So it's like I'm not sponsored or anything to Leferic, but if you want to sponsor,
we're gonna get this hit to them. We're gonna get this hit to them.
No, but it was really nice, man. But we were surprised. I mean, I was surprised, going into it, because I saw the starting lineup, and there was no Royce. Of course, he's had a bunch of minutes, and then the other one was no Justin Hack, right? And there was that surprise midfield, kind of a more of a defensive looking midfield, and surprisingly they brought the offense, but a lot has been made about Justin Hack's versatility, and there was still no place for him in this starting 11. What did that signal to you, if anything, or was it just, hey, this guy's played a bunch of minutes early and we want to rest his legs, save him for a long campaign?
No, I think I go back to when you guys beat Minnesota a couple of years ago, 6-2 on the playoffs, and in the build up to that, everyone was saying Minnesota are so good in transition. Greg's going to have an extra defender in midfield. And I remember we met with Greg beforehand, and he goes, I'm thinking I need another 10 in midfield. I need to have Ricky and Marco, because we want to be so good going forward. And I remember leaving that meeting and calling Mo and saying, I love Greg for the fact that he doubles down on who he is, not on who the opposition is. And I think Greg looked at this game and said, and this is not a disrespect to Hack. I think Hack is a defender in midfield. So if you pick a player whose tendencies are better when the opposition have the ball, you're telling the opposition, we expect you to have the ball. And I think in Winder, he gave a young player who we saw snippets from last year. He gave him the confidence to say, no, this is a game we're going to have a lot of the ball. And I think you give us a better balance in midfield alongside Cerrillo. And I thought it worked. I thought Winder was really, really good. I thought he rode challenges well, picked his moments to play the ball forward. I think he's going to be a developing player that I'm actually excited to watch, because I think there's a lot more there. I think he was one of those pickups where you say this is a long game, not like a next week, it's next year and on. So I looked at it in that way. I looked at it as Greg saying, we're going to have the ball. I want players that are going to be able to generate with that ball. And he did that by finding a balance as well, because Sanabria is a good footballer, but he does give you more of a defensive presence than what you see from Marco. A lot more movement. The amount of times he went wide with Joseph and made 2v1 overloads in that area was really, really good as well. So that's the way I looked at it. I don't think it's a negative on Hack. I think it's him saying, no, this midfield is right for this situation. I expect to see, I would imagine Hack's going to start this weekend. That would be my first guess. I don't know who that is for, whether that's at center back or for one of the midfielders, but I do think it was a clever move by Greg. And again, it utilizes very early on the fact that you have a squad and you need buy-in from everybody if you're going to be successful this season.
I think it's also a positive too, guys, for Justin Hack, just to see on the sidelines, what positions because he's still learning the system. And I remember last year we talked to Greg about Lucas and Elijah, settling into the system. We know Hack is an experienced player in this league, but in Greg's system, it's a different system. It's different personnel. So he's still learning on where he needs to be positionally and some tactical things. And I'm sure that 60, 70 minutes that he was in the sideline really helped. And I'm sure he's going to look at the tape after and be that much better for it next game as well.
Yeah, and you remember, like, the first game, I would say the one negative maybe about the New York City FC game was they did start to dominate possession. And Galaxy is a possession-based team. And I think that probably weighed on the mind of Greg in terms of what's the best balance, particularly in home games, because you want to have more of the ball. You're going to have more of the ball, and that played a part. But Hack is a really, really clever pickup. I think he's someone that gives you something that you probably didn't have in the squad last year. Someone that can fit into defensive positions, both midfield and in the back four. So yeah, he'll play a lot of games this year. I wouldn't read too much into the fact that he didn't play in this one and the team got a win. That doesn't mean he's done anything bad, but I think he'll play a big part this year.
Yeah. Well, from Justin Hack to Gabriel Pecky, he is our player spotlight for tonight. So Ananda, take it away.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Galaxy fans have been talking about Gabriel Peck and how he really needs to lead this team. And I'm just going to start with the stat sheet, guys. Like, really, really impressive night out. He got the 1 assist. Could have had 2. Like, the shot came off the post. Like,
that should be an assist, right?
That should be an assist, right? I play fantasy Premier League. Like, that's an assist for sure. I've got a lot of those from, like, Bruno and, like, some of these other.
I think that and a penalty win should be. If you win a pentenalty, that should be an assist as well.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Yeah. So let's count it 2 assists. Unofficially, right, in our stat sheet. Got 4 out of 5 shots on target. That's a really good sign to see. He's getting cleaner looks and he's getting those shots off cleanly. 4 out of 7 successful dribbles. So not only was he willing to take on his man, but he was successful. You guys talked about that one-on-one with Tim Ream. I think that was a favorable matchup or duel for him. 3 chances created, led the team, Rob. So maybe we don't need a number 10. Like, maybe you just get it out to the wingers, and if they operate in the right areas, they can lead this team in chance creation and be dangerous. But here's the stat that I really liked, and I'm going to pull this up just as a reference. 11 touches in the opposition box. He led the team. I pulled up, for the audio listeners, I pulled up a heat map and the difference between where Gabriel Peck was positionally versus NYCFC versus Charlotte. And this is shout out to Alex Ruiz. By the way, go ahead and check out his article on the Galactic Tribune, where he details this more, as well as some other tactical things that Greg talked about post-match. But, I mean, look at that heat map, guys, on the right. In and around the penalty area, that's where you want to see Gabriel Peck, not so much withdrawn and to the touchline. I think Greg talked about, his quote was, "We need to get Gabe active and on the move and find him building speed and being a finisher of plays, not a guy who was always trying to create plays." And I think a lot of that movement that we saw helps with that as well. It also prevents teams from, it'll be interesting how this plays out in the next couple of matches, but that movement also prevents teams from doubling up on him. And so he plays a lot of 1v2 sometimes, and that forces him to go back. And he was a lot of the times 1v1 versus Ream. And that's where you want him, against either a fullback or a center back. And of course, when Gabriel Peck is in full flow, you see the flare, that nutmeg on Wolf Zaha. Woo! and that was all over the social.
I loved your guys' call when he started going off on Wolf.
Yeah. I mean, but that was like in the 15th or 20th minute.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was pretty early on in the game.
That's full peak Gabriel Peck. That's full confidence. So, I mean, Keith, is this the best Peck that you've seen in the last, I'd say, 12 months? I mean, he looked really on it last night.
Yeah, one thing I liked about it, I thought at the start of last season, it looked like he was forcing things. Like, he wasn't reading that a second defender was coming across. He was shooting a lot from distance. It was like he took it upon himself. There's no Ricky. Joseph is out injured. I got to go win this game by myself. It looked like that to me. And I don't think you can ever fault his work rate, like his commitment to run. Like, all of those things are so good. But everything came within the flow of the game. Like you mentioned, the shots, they all felt natural. Nothing seemed forced. The moment when he opened up and curled the effort just wide, when he was one-on-one with Ream, so good. The assist, outstanding. They gave him his right, so he went to his right. The opening goal, great shot that, comes back off the post and the tap in for Sanabria. So, yeah, I looked at it as, I would imagine Peck went home and said, I'm excited, not just about his performance. I would imagine, talking to family, he said, hey, we look like a good team again. Like I can play with Klauss. The midfield gave me more. Like it looked more like the Galaxy of old. Yamane, by the way, was really good early on.
Yeah.
He supported, but late on you saw him go into that central channel, leave Peck out wide 1v1. There was a ball that for Yamane's shot, the pass played through, I think it was actually for Peck.
Yeah.
And Yamane got it and took the shot real quick. So the movements were so good and the decisions were quick. Like when it went out and there was a double, he was quick to play the ball. Yeah, I mean, there's so much to like about Gabriel's performance. I looked at his numbers and, it was 15 goal involvements last year compared to 30 the year before. That's a big drop. That is a big drop. And there's obviously, mitigating factors in terms of players not available, etc. But I thought from this performance, I said, wow, if he plays like that, he's a problem for any defense. I don't know any fullback who'd look at and go, I'm looking forward to playing against that, because he's so direct. He's so powerful in terms of his running, and he's nonstop. So, you ask Toffolo. Toffolo was at Nottingham Forest this time last year. Maybe he's wishing he could go back there right now, because he was, I mean, if anybody's seen him, I didn't see him at Dignity Health Sports Park on Saturday. He had real trouble.
Torched.
And as well as that, when you're that good going forward, Toffolo offered nothing in the attack then, because he got caught in this mid-ground of like, well, I can't go forward because I'm always getting caught out. So it bodes well both ways. So yeah, it's a real positive. Galaxy to be a contender, to take that step as you want, he has to be one of the elite playmakers in the league. And at the weekend, I thought we saw exactly what he can be in Major League Soccer.
Yeah, he was instrumental. I mean, it's certainly a good problem to have. Like, we've already spoken about so many players that had a brilliant performance. I mean, you started off talking about Glesnes. I mean, you just called out Yamane. We're talking about Peck actively, and he was really the driving force at least early on. If guys, you didn't have the pleasure of hearing Keith on the call and you weren't at the game, first off, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, no excuses, by the way. No more season pass. Apple TV, it's easy. We didn't put another wall up. We literally got rid of the bouncer. Like the club is just open. Come on in, watch the games. Nobody's checking ID at the door. Like, there's no excuses to not watch the games anymore. Shame on you.
If you didn't watch the game, bad on you. But that's what we're here for. We're here to fill you in. Of course, the Galaxy won this one 3-0, and they did it in spectacular fashion. Indeed, in first 15 minutes, it was pretty much over. And the guy we've been talking about, Gabriel Peck, started it off with a blistering shot off the post, and it fell to Lucas Sanabria. He reacted first, puts the Galaxy up 1-0 inside 8 minutes. We called out Serial earlier. What I loved about this play is that he does well to win back the ball in the midfield, and then a lovely ball to switch the play to Yamane.
Yep.
And you saw a lot of switching of play in this game, but we'll talk about that in a moment. But just 3 minutes later, Peck would expose defender Tim Ream to put an across at the back post that Joao Klauss only had to meet and push home for the 2-0. And it only got worse for Charlotte as they just plainly just messed up in the back. Pass was intercepted by Klauss just 2 minutes later, and the new Brazilian DP makes no mistake to put it 3-0 for the Galaxy in the first 3 minutes. It wouldn't be too much action from the Galaxy after that, at least in the second half, except for the G's could have had a fourth late on after Mateus Nascimento had a goal rolled offside. That would see out that 3-0 scoreline to remain unbeaten on the season. It is the G's first win on the season, everybody. Yay! A whole 16 games before last year. The first home win this year, and undefeated at home through 2. You saw 3 different kind of goals here, Keith. Which one was your favorite of the 3? And is it the same one that you called? Like, is your favorite goal to watch the same goal that you called?
I like the second goal, because I like the fact that, am I getting it right? The second goal? Yeah, the second goal. I love the fact that Peck just recognizes the space. I love when a winger, teams will say, well, show him out wide or show him his right foot. And Peck says, show me whatever you want. I'm gonna do damage. So the first one, he's on his left. This time you go, we're going to show you your right. And when you talked about it there, you talked about Klauss getting in the right position. That's an art. for a number 9, like the motion, like you watch, like if you could have the wider camera angle on that goal, and you watch the timing and the movement from Peck, and then how the run starts to arrive at that exact moment and just smash it home at the back post. So I love that goal. I loved watching it develop. And I think as a front group, as an attacking group, you say, aye, we're starting to click. I mean, obviously Privet gifts the last goal to Klauss, although it's still, I say gifts it, he's still outside the box. That's still a great finish.
Yeah,
I think the first one, I love Sanabria's effort to get on the rebound, but the second goal was just, it was really well worked in terms of Peck's ability to recognize, this is what you're giving me. I'm in motion like my coach wants me to be, cross into the right area, and then Klauss attacking the space like you want your number 9 to, and giving you the platform to have a successful, second game at home and pick up the 3 points.
Yeah, and I think we saw on that goal as well the basically what Greg has been talking about with Gabriel Peck in like one play, right? You see Lucas Sanabria win the ball in midfield and immediately look up and recognize that Gabriel Peck is already in motion, and he puts the ball in space for him, for Gabriel Peck to then attack that space. And so you're seeing Gabriel Peck that's getting service in motion in better areas, and leads to a little bit more success. But
and Rob, he showed us his right foot. He showed us his right foot.
Hey,
let's go. Like, hey,
go.
no, I'm being silly about it. But no, I'm serious. Like, he needs to knock defenders off balance, because they're gonna assume they're gonna draw him on his right foot, because he always goes to his left. So that was a really welcome sight for me, honestly.
Keith, you should settle something for us, because Ananda and I have a disagreement, and it's
surprise.
on and it's on whether or not the Galaxy took the foot off the gas again, right? You saw a Galaxy team against Sporting San Miguelito that, at the end of the game certainly played for that 0-0 so they can get through to the next round. But this one, after I would say, the first half was full of attacking intent. I didn't really see that attacking zeal in the second half personally. No goals after the first 15 minutes. Of course, Kalina makes 9 saves over the course of this match. But settle this one for us, Keith. Did you feel like they took their foot off the gas a little bit, or am I just jonesing for more goals because they didn't really score that much in the first 3?
I see where you're coming from, but I also think Charlotte adjusted. Charlotte weren't as overly aggressive in the wide areas. They were like, look, we can't keep being in that shape because we're going to get killed. And you just mentioned another one, 9 saves, Kalina. So you still did generate goal scoring chances. I look at the game and I thought you can't play at that pace for 90 minutes. You simply can't. Like you have prolific spells, and in other spells you want to be methodical. You want to be, controlling the game. You want to be that can be with or without the ball, by the way. That can be with the ball in terms of moving the ball around, having the lion's share of possession. Galaxy did that, created more of the chances. Galaxy did that. When the opposition had it, make sure you're not giving up goal scoring opportunities. Galaxy did that. So I know where that's coming from, because you have a couple of early knockdowns and you're like, go for the kill again. But I don't think the mindset at all, knowing Greg as well, was like, let's sit back. I think going back to the San Miguelito game as well, they started defensive, which was kind of crazy because they needed to score. I think that was the kind of more of the shock, which was they were saying to themselves, man, if we go toe-to-toe with Galaxy, we're going to get killed. Let's be defensive and maybe try later on. And at that stage, you can understand the Galaxy saying, well, the onus is on them to come at us a little bit. But in this game against Charlotte, no, I think the Galaxy, if I'm Greg looking back at that, I don't have any complaints about the way that game played out.
Well, let me put this in perspective too, and Galaxy fans will relate. Rob, how many times have we seen this team? I'm going to point out one simple example from last year. 2-0 up, away from home in Philadelphia. What did I text you at halftime? Ooh, it looks like we might be getting our first win. And you were like, nah, son, this is the Galaxy. This is the 2025 LA Galaxy. And what happened? We blew that lead. So I think I have the PTSD of we've been in those winning situations before and could not control the tempo, nor have the discipline or the professionalism to close that game out. And so for that game to end 3-0 made me happy. And maybe it's because of PTSD, but I've just seen this team over the years, especially in 2025, we just couldn't hold on to those leads because we were so exposed defensively.
Yeah, well, maybe we're starting to see a new Galaxy. Certainly a new Galaxy in the way that they're setting wanted records this year. Last year, it was a bunch of unwanted records, like the longest Galaxy streak to begin the season without a win, all this kind of stuff. But the other night, they set a club record with 3 goals in the first 12 minutes and 14 seconds of the match. Obviously, Sanabria, Klauss, and Klauss. It was the fastest such occurrence in Galaxy history, passing the previous mark of 16 minutes set against LAFC on August 25th in 2019. 2 goals by Ibrahimovic and Pavon. That was also the 6th fastest timed 3 goals in an MLS match. And the Galaxy matched their own record for the fastest 3 goals in MLS history with 3 goals in 5 minutes versus Charlotte. The previous record belonged to Galaxy legend Harout Karapetian, who scored a hat trick in 5 minutes in 1998, and that's per our good friend Edgar Nags. This was an awesome sight, guys, because all this Brazilian magic happened on Brazilian night at the digs, so I'm sure they had a wonderful time. I'm sure there was a lot of caipirinhas being drunk, and I mean, everybody was dancing and stuff like that. But Ananda, pull out this one key stat here for us, and we'll get Keith's take on it.
Yeah, honestly, this for me just says it all. I'm gonna take down the banner, but I'm actually gonna look all the way down to the bottom, guys. Goalkeeper saves. Novak Mitrovic had to make 1 save all night, and again, we talk about like the defensive, solidity and the defensive. And the defensive, yeah, that's what Novak said, right? Post match, it was a good save. It was a good save. So yeah, but I mean, like, look at that: 12 shots on target to Charlotte's 1, and Novak only had to make 1 save. Again, with that 3-0 scoreline, I mean, it was just so impressive, like in both ways, right? And I think people have been saying in the chat, and that's why I asked the question to Keith earlier. But I think it's the 0 that impresses me more than the 3. Even though I will say that hot start, Rob, that was a welcome sight. I think, especially after the first 3 games.
Well, the thing is that the Galaxy are not always going to have that hot start. So it's more heartening. Like you said, it's more heartening for me, that 0 than that 3. But Keith, what does this tell you? That Novak didn't have to work? I mean, that's got to be the blueprint for W's, right?
Yeah. Again, when you're not at your best, when you're not firing, when you're not taking chances, you want to be able to say, well, we're not going to give up much. Last year, the Galaxy just couldn't say that. They couldn't. Like, they were particularly early. I do think they improved, but particularly early on in the season, it was too easy to get at the Galaxy defensively. It was too easy to break through, too easy to score goals. They've addressed that. Will and Greg have obviously sat down together and picked out how can we go out and get better in that area of the field. And in Jacob Glesnes, you have a player who's been the defender of the year in this league. Justin Hack, who played a big part in a very good New York City FC side last year as well, and Aude looked better. Aude looked, he's 22, by the way. He's still a very young player who's moved from another country. Like I did that at a young age. That's really, really difficult to do. And another year here, he comes into his own and looked really good. So yeah, I think this is something that if Galaxy are going to be successful this year, yeah, the goals are going to be good, but they have to be a stingier team defensively. You look at the very best in the league, and when it matters most, they know how to lock teams down, and I think that's a really real positive for the Galaxy right now.
One of the positives that I take away, Keith, is that in a season in which Galaxy fans obviously were deprived of Ricky Puig coming back, they get a new DP, and it's not the 10 that a lot of Galaxy fans wanted. However, the Galaxy fans get Joao Klauss, and so far he's been, like we mentioned, a breath of fresh air. I mean, Vanney says that he sets the tone and he leads us on the defensive side, which is crazy because he's a striker. Will Kuhn says he really is a horse. We spend a lot of time looking at the physical data the guys have. In terms of output, he works, he presses, by all accounts, a great teammate, a guy who can combine, and that's to our colleague Charles Boehm. Did we underestimate Klauss? I mean, again, Galaxy fans wanted a 10 to replace Ricky. They got a 9, and it's Klauss. I mean, should we have just shut our mouths and said, thank you, Will Kuntz?
Yeah, I think the fact that you forget that last year you lost Ricky, but you lost your 9 as well. Joveljic went. So, I think Christian obviously came in, and you had other pieces in there that played that role. That it didn't quite look as prolific. I think Joao Klauss played in a different system in St. Louis City, very different style of play. So, yeah, I think, what you see is a player with a very deft first touch. We always talk about he's a bigger player. He's a bigger frame. He occupies the center backs well. There's a couple of moments where he held the ball up, but I also think he's a very good footballer. And I think he's going to enjoy the LA Galaxy system as much as the LA Galaxy system is going to be, one that really thrives with him in the center of it. So I walked away really impressed with what he brought in terms of just being able to link and, be a foil for Joseph and for Gabriel as well. So I think it all bodes well. And again, I even mentioned Nascimento. I thought when he came on, he looked like an able deputy as well, if that's going to be needed as well when you have a lot of games.
Speaking of JP, Joseph Paintsville, a lot of people have said that he needs to get going. Do you agree? Or, is he obviously he's putting in the work, he always does, but he hasn't had that goal or, assist in the league anyway to speak of. Should we be concerned, or, 2 games in, he's going to go?
No, he's a ball progressor as well. And what I mean by that is like the moments where the opposition get forward, he gets on the ball and takes you 50 yards up the field really, really quickly. And that is demoralizing. I remember, I'm a Liverpool fan, Diaz, when Luis Diaz was there, Luis Diaz was the best at doing that. And it gets you up the field. He has the ability to link. His work rate is very, very good as well. There's going to be games this year where Gabriel Peck is the man. And there's going to be games where Klauss is going to get goals. And there's also going to be games where it's going to be Joseph Paintsville in a World Cup year as well. He has that to look forward to. He's motivated to play well. So I saw moments from him, which I thought were important factors in the Galaxy win at the weekend. But is he going to be more of a goal threat in other games? I would imagine so, but definitely no cause for concern in terms of what he showed on Saturday against Charlotte.
We already talked about this kind of surprising midfield that Greg Vanney put out. Sanabria growing. Winder had a great game. And then you saw, Marco Royce come in. And then also Justin Hack and Eric Tommy are in the lineup as well and can play in the midfield. Is this one of the deepest midfields you've seen the Galaxy have? Sans Ricky, of course.
Yeah, it is. It just feels like there's multiple options. There's multiple ways that they can play in midfield now. They can be a little bit more aggressive defensively if they need to be. They can be a little bit more mobile. They can be a much more footballing midfield 3, which we're used to seeing from the Galaxy. So I think that's what you want as a coach. Like in moments in games, there might be, like you mentioned, the Philly game away, where you're 2-0 up and you go, no, they're overrunning us right now. We need a Justin Hack in midfield to help along and be a physical presence in there. And there's other games where you say, well, we're not being dynamic enough on the ball. I need someone else who can get in those areas. Marco Royce gives me that as a 10. So I think you walk away saying there's not just one way of playing. There's a couple of different ways. And you need that. You need that as a group. You need that to be a successful group. And again, it's very early, and Charlotte's played a part in it the weekend. But, I think 2 games in, 4 points could have been easily 6. I don't think you walk away saying, oh, we could have got less. I think that was the minimum based on the performances and the XG against, etc. So I think everything bodes well right now from what we've seen from the Galaxy so far.
Keith, we're gonna go ahead and ask you for you. We give away this prize on the show, defending the badge, which is of course not just the best player of the match, but the one who represented the shirt and the colors and the badge the best. And we do have a couple of candidates, like Joao Klauss. He had the 2 goals, and Gabriel Pecky had the assist, and really should be 2 assists. Lucas Sanabria had the goal, and Elijah Winder comes in for his season debut and has a really solid match. But for you, if you had to pick a player from the Galaxy to win defending the badge, who would it be?
I mentioned Glesnes earlier, and I do think he played a massive part. But I would go for, you wanted a fast start, and the guy who played a part he's only going to get 1 assist, but it really is 2. I think that Peck started the game in the manner in which he did is huge, and he gives you the platform to build upon. So I would go Gabriel Peck because he was the one that off the post, open and goal is the rebound off his hit, sets up the second. And I walked away thinking this could be the year we see the newcomer of the year, Gabriel Peck, again. So I would go with him as my man of the match.
Ananda, agree?
Yeah, it's him or Klauss, man. I'm gonna give it to the big guy though, because as I said, like, defending the badge, Rob, you say it's not just about who played the best, or I mean, even though Klauss had the brace, but I'm telling you, man, it's the way he carries himself. Like Keith talked about, the play that he noticed the most was Joao Klauss running out the outside, like busting his lungs, like to get on the other end of that pass, right? And it's that selflessness that not only does he say those things in the press to us, like post-match, but it shows it. Like he exemplifies that on the pitch, and what a great guy to have in the locker room. So for me, not only for the brace, but just how, and his clinical finishing, obviously, but like just how he is on the field, exemplifying what it means to defend the badge. It's Joao Klauss for me all day.
Yeah, I'm not going to be contrarian on this one for contrarian's sake. Me, as much as
Cool
I like
finish.
to be like,
Cool finish, by the way. I was gonna say cool finish, by the way,
for
that third goal. I mean, I know he was like 1v1, but I've seen a few Galaxy strikers and in the past Sky those. So yeah, really cool finish. Really, really happy that he's on this team.
Well, Keith, we have 1 or 2 more for you, and then we're gonna have to say goodbye to you, even though we could talk ball all night, and but we want to let you go. We want to let you go, but looking at this table really quick, after 2 matches, the Galaxy are currently 5th. It's been a while since Galaxy fans have seen the Galaxy in 5th place. Of course, early days, but a 1-0-1 record on 4 points, 4 goals for, 1 against, plus 3 goal difference, 2 points per game. Per Brother Lex, who is in chat, I think we already mentioned, but if we haven't, it took them 14 matches to reach 4 points in 2025, and in these 4 games in the 10 days to start the season, they are undefeated with 2 clean sheets and only 1 goal from the run of play. So there you go, guys. After That's 4 wild. Games in the first stanza here, the Galaxy have acquitted themselves pretty decently. Keith, it's receipts time, though. If you had to be put on the spot right now, where would you say the Galaxy end up in the Western Conference when all's said and done?
If I was a betting man right now, I would say 4th. Yeah, I think behind the 3 that I mentioned, it would be 4th. And I think, again, once you get to the playoffs, nobody wants to play the Galaxy, but I would have them as a 4th place team right now.
Yeah. Wow, that's. I mean, I had them 6th myself. That's awesome, Keith. You bring the hope to the show. That's awesome. So obviously they're a playoff team, and they're, by virtue of being 4th in this scenario, they're a home playoff team. How far do you see them getting in and going in the playoffs?
I mean, 4th, you're probably going to play like maybe a Seattle, like that kind of matchup is still one that Seattle have kind of had their way with you over recent years. So
truth.
It's too difficult. Like, this is the way too early league table. This is the way too early predictions.
Yeah,
I would have them winning a series in the playoffs, but again, I think I look at the San Diego's. I look like if you were playing 4th and you were playing against the 1 seed, I think that would be a San Diego, or I would give you more of a chance against LAFC because the rivalry, like, it just becomes mayhem. But San Diego, I just think in terms of what they're building and the way they've done things there, I have them ahead. So I would have them maybe going out in the conference semifinals.
Yeah, we'll get an early look at what that matchup might look like if the Galaxy and San Diego both get through to the next round in the Champions Cup, and that would have that matchup. I believe it would give the Galaxy the first leg at home, and then San Diego the second leg. But let's not count our chickens before they're hatched. Is that expression? Is that how that one goes, Ananda?
Yeah, something like that.
Exactly. Well, we want to say thank you to our good friend Keith for being here with us, Keith Costigan. Thank you once again for being so gracious with your time. Please tell your doggy I said hi. I saw him walking around in the background. I was like, "Ooh, puppy!" And then I was like, "Focus, focus." You're talking about
He's
that.
waiting over here. By the way, we did well because my computer is about to die. I did not plug it in, so we're at 4% right now. So we're getting out at just the right time. We did
All
well.
right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much, man.
Tienes casa aquí, and when you're in LA, we're going to Teleferic.
And
Por supuesto, amigos. Gracias por tu
I'm gonna
tiempo
email.
también.
I'm gonna email you that restaurant, Keith, for sure.
Perfect. Please do. Please do. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good
Thanks
night.
for having
Thank
me on.
you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Y'all heard him. Like we said, he has bars. And Lex said, and Keith, we trust. We do. He was on the call the other day. If you didn't catch it, then again, what are you even really doing? But yeah, man, we had a great conversation with Keith about anything and everything Galaxy and what he's seen so far. He, like I mentioned, he kind of brought some hope back because I was kind of feeling salty after the first three, and this last match, kind of lifted all our spirits again. But Ananda, what's
you're still feeling salty after the G's took the foot off the gas pedal, Papa? Come on.
Nah, I still, and of course, you heard Keith say I was absolutely right. You heard him. So.
I don't know if you have selective hearing or what's going on there, but no, but like seriously, like how many times, especially in 2025, like I think about the two games that stick out to me in 2025 when we're in that position was San Diego away and Philadelphia away. Like those two games hurt. Right, like based off of the positions that we were in. So no, man, I think, like I said, I'm more impressed with the 0 and the 3, and I hope that continues. And you know what this does, like when you have a rock solid defense like that, it increases your margin for error. Meaning, if let's say your strikers aren't on point, you're not finding the back of the net early, you're not clinical that day. Okay, just stay in the game, right? Stay in the game, keep it 0-0 or keep it a 1-goal game, and at least you still have a chance for 1 or 3 points. So. I mean,
super is dastardly, bro. He just brought up the Red Bulls game, man. Like,
well, we were gone after the first 5 minutes of that game, so that game doesn't really count. But like games when the Galaxy are winning positions, right? I've seen the Galaxy blow way too many leads over the years, so that was a welcome sight. And yeah, Keith, I mean, we talked about everything, anything, and everything. So I hope you guys really enjoyed that. Like, we really ran the gamut with them, and like I said, like, and Rob wasn't kidding, man. I really, because we weren't. Lucky enough to be in the stadium that night because we were out, but Mo and Keith, I really enjoy the calls. Like, they're a really good partnership. Them along with Cello and Jorge, like they're really good as well. So yeah, man, I enjoy a lot of those guys on the calls for sure. But yeah, check them out.
Keith and Mo had me rolling. Like, I was listening.
They have good bands.
I was listening to the game on the way to your birthday at Teleferic.
Yeah,
and they had me busting up, man. Like, they when Gabriel Pecky pulled off the nutmeg on Wilf, and then he pulled off like another little trick on him. They were like, "Oh, he's really enjoying." Oh man, oh, it was great. I loved it. But anyway, let's get through some shout outs and bring this one home, shall we?
Dale.
Guys, we've called out our good friend Arquitekto Verbal, aka Major League Sounds. He has a show coming up with the fellow G Pacheco Bates. We've already said a bunch of times, support Arquitekto Verbal, support live music. This is on March 6th, so it's this week at 9 p.m. Hit him up for more details. If you liked that song at the beginning of the show, then you like Arquitekto Verbal, and you should go support a show. Hit him up for more details. And as they do, LA Riot Squad will be having their normal First Fridays on Friday, March 6th, Cowboy Country at 3321 South Street in Long Beach. If you want to go get your line dance on, and I know that Ananda is going to break out his cowboy hat and boots, that this one is going down. $5 from 7 to 9. And then $10 from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. Ananda, you're going to have to show us that line dance and see how you bust a move, man. This one is super fun to report on, man. This is one of the craziest.
All is live.
Yeah, football is life, and I guess it really was, man, because Crystal Fernandez, who plays Danny Rojas and Ted Lasso, is currently training with El Paso Locomotive in the USL Championship. He recently played 30 minutes in a friendly for Locomotive against New Mexico United on Saturday, and then he had already been training with the Chicago Fire 2 in a friendly against Forward Madison a few weeks ago, and he actually scored Ananda. So, I mean, guys, got to have a little bit of game, right? It's not known yet whether Locomotive is going to sign him, but odds are that they will. I mean, everybody is expecting them to, but the verdict is out still. They're expected to kind of make a decision this week. But man, football really is life, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. I mean, it's life imitates art. But we talked a lot about Don Klauss today, and it's good birthday tidings for him as well, right? Because he scored a couple of goals the day before his birthday. So happy birthday, Joao Klauss. Hopefully you were surrounded by friends and family, and again, I hope you were drinking some good caipirinhas. Guys, we also want to call out that the Galaxy are celebrating Women's History Month at the Digs. March is Women's History Month, so the Galaxy will celebrate Women's History on Saturday, March 14th at the match against Sporting Kansas City. Fans can expect all women entertainers, discounts on women's merchandise at the Galaxy team store, and additional in-stadium activations highlighting women shaping the sport and in the community. The club will honor the Women's Coaching Alliance, a nonprofit organization committed to developing female leaders through coaching youth sports. So go ahead and pick up some merch that day, support. And guys, there is, as we mentioned, 5 games in March. If you haven't picked out a match to go to in March, if you aren't one of those vatos that has mucho dinero, then one of the games that is of high interest to go to is Pubs at the Pitch, happening on March 14th. That's the first one this year against Sporting Kansas City. Guys, this is one of the best nights at the Digs when you have all the Galaxy doggies out there in their little jerseys and everything like that. Like I said, it's one of my favorite nights. So hopefully we get to see little Natita and little Kobe out there that day. Who knows? You may not, but you should definitely enjoy this evening. Will Kuntz was recently on Kobe Corner, talking about anything and everything, hitting those tough questions. Kobe was about how do you know when to move a player on and stuff like that. I really like his Kobe Club thing in the background, Alonda. Who do you know that we can get something like that?
I don't know. Maybe let's go to La Pulga and try to find someone.
Pulga, this was set. This was set.
Hey, really quick, on the Pubs of the Pitch, Brother Lex says FYI season ticket members don't have to pay for the extra dog ticket. So there you go, guys. That's a good little perk.
Yeah, no. Last year, you had to pay like $10 or something like that.
I remember. Yep.
Had it on. So that's good on them.
Good on them.
I mean, that's a step in the right direction. We got to celebrate these little wins, guys.
Right.
Anyway, we are just kind of BSing now. So let's wrap it on up. Guys, coming up, we've already mentioned the Galaxy are set to play 5 matches in the span of 16 days, including trips to Colorado, Jamaica, and Portland. We'll be here through it all with you to bring you up to date. Of course, that means we're going to get, hopefully, another Podfather video where he, sends the plane and you get to see how far the Galaxy have traveled. I really enjoyed that video, Podfather. If you are listening, go ahead and do another one of those. That's awesome. On Thursday, March 5th, we'll bring you our Colorado Rapids match preview for that match happening Saturday, March 7th. With the incredible Matt Pollard, managing editor of the Burgundy Wave and co-host of Rapids 96 podcast, and my former colleague at Last Word in Sports and fellow 661er. Yay! Then on Monday, March 9th, we'll bring you a Rapids match reaction and a Mount Pleasant CONCACAF Champions Cup preview for that match happening on Wednesday. Guys, I think that pretty much brings us to a close. Anando, what say you?
Man, I was just looking at that graphic. That Thursday away at Mount Pleasant and then Sunday away at Portland. Oh, that's going to be brutal. That's going to be absolutely brutal for this
They
team.
might as
So,
well just fly straight to Portland, man.
I mean, yeah, they might as well just like keep Marco and Maya in Portland and just fly straight there and have the other guys play. Well, that just puts more pressure on the home leg, right? So it'll be interesting. But no, man, again, I thought that this game was an eye opener for me. You know, I talked about my last one word match reaction was conflicted. Yeah, because like I said, it's the offense, right? The offense finally came around. But again, the defense continues to be stable. And the longer, like, long may this continue, because this is a welcome sight for not only myself, but I'm sure all the Galaxy fans out there.
That's the operative word, continue. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, let's hope it continues. Again, we've got the G's have a tough 5-game in 15
The second
days.
Sansa is rough.
So let's hope this continues. But like I said, long may continue, and from our lips to the Lord's ears kind of thing, right? But no, guys, hope you guys enjoyed that interview, that session with Keith Costigan. Again, if you have not yet, go ahead and rewind, catch this on replay. He does drop a lot of nuggets, a lot of really interesting, like, sort of insights and things that he was seeing boots on the ground from the play-by-play booth. So just want to thank him, and of course, thank you to everyone in chat for joining us. And we will be back with you, like Rob said, on Thursday, previewing the Colorado game. But until then, be safe, and we love y'all.
Yeah, and guys, you want to be on with us on Thursday, because Matt Pollard, not only does he cover Colorado exclusively, but he used to cover the G's as well. So he has a big soft spot for the G's. So he was super excited to come on and talk about all the Galaxy stuff happening as well. He's really excited about this match, and he'll be boots on the ground for it. So it's going to be great to have him on the show once again. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us once again for another episode of this humble little podcast. Thank you once again to Keith Costigan. Thank you to everybody in chat who kept it beautiful and lively. And I think there might just be one thing to say, right?
Yes, sir.
Jesus!